My in-laws told my husband they were hosting his birthday dinner, just for close family. I wasn't invited. When I asked why, he said, they thought you'd feel out of place. I stayed home alone while they posted group photos online. The next morning, I made him breakfast and handed him an invitation to my lawyer's office. I'm a 38-year-old woman living in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I've been married to Brad for 6 years. We met through mutual friends. He used to work construction. Now he's a project manager. I work in admin at a local hospital. Our life wasn't glamorous, but it was solid, or so I thought. From the start, his family never warmed up to me. His mom, Jean, acted like I was some kind of temporary guest. Megan, his sister, ignored me at every get-together. At Christmas, she wouldn't even look me in the eye. His dad, Bill, was the type of guy who makes comments like, "Don't you think your husband should be earning more than you?" Like he's just being curious. I swallowed it. I smiled. I played the game. Brad always said, they just need time. They're old-fashioned. Don't take it personally. I didn't want to make waves, so I let it slide. For years, I never fought with Brad about it.
Not really.
I'd hint that I didn't feel welcome. He'd change the subject. Every time we visited them, I'd leave with a knot in my stomach. But I told myself it was part of marriage. You marry the man, not the family.
Right?
A few weeks ago, Brad's 40th birthday was coming up. I started planning something. A cabin for the weekend, maybe dinner in Nashville. Just us. When I brought it up, he looked at me weird and said, "Oh, I think my parents are planning something. Just a little dinner at their house." I said, "Oh, nice. What time should we go?" He hesitated. I noticed it. His eyes dropped to his phone like he didn't want to look at me. Then he said, "Well, they're kind of doing it for close family. You know. Just them, Megan, the kids." I stared at him. "You mean I'm not invited?" He rubbed the back of his neck. "It's not like that. They just thought you'd feel out of place. They didn't want it to be tense." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was the most absurd, insulting thing I'd ever heard. Out of place? At my own husband's birthday? He got defensive. "Don't do this. It's just dinner. You hate going over there anyway." And that was the excuse. I hate going over there. As if years of being treated like I didn't exist was my fault.
I didn't yell. I didn't cry.
I just said, "Okay, let me know how it goes." That Friday night, I stayed home alone. He got dressed up, kissed me on the forehead like I was his roommate, and left. No guilt, no hesitation. Around 7:30, my phone started lighting up. First, I saw Megan's Instagram story. Then Facebook posts. Jean had uploaded an entire album. Birthday dinner for a wonderful son. Photos of Brad, grinning ear to ear, next to Megan's kids, his parents, balloons, cake. They all looked so happy.
Like I didn't exist.
Like I was a footnote in his life. I sat on the couch and stared at the screen. I think I stopped blinking. I wasn't just hurt. I was numb. This wasn't just about dinner.
It was about what they saw me as.
Or didn't. I didn't sleep. I lay in bed all night, replaying the past 6 years. The fake smiles, the forced hugs, the missed birthdays where Jean forgot to call me. And the worst part, Brad never once stood up for me. Saturday morning, I got up before him. I made breakfast, scrambled eggs with cheese, bacon, his favorite. Toast, coffee, 2 sugars. I made it perfect. I wanted him to feel like everything was normal. He walked into the kitchen wearing sweatpants and a smile. "Smells good," he said. I smiled and handed him his plate. Then I handed him a sealed envelope. He looked confused. "What's this?" "My lawyer's contact information. There's a draft of the separation agreement inside." He blinked. "Wait, what?" I stayed calm. "I've been talking to someone for a while. This dinner?" It made things real clear for me. He started laughing. "You're not serious." I just looked at him.
He put the plate down.
"It was one dinner. You're blowing this out of proportion." "No," I said. "It's not one dinner. It's 6 years of dinners. 6 years of being treated like an outsider. 6 years of you doing nothing about it. He started pacing. You could have come. You just didn't want to.
No.
They made it clear I wasn't welcome. And you let them. That was your choice. His face turned red. So, you're throwing away our marriage over one night? I leaned forward.
No.
You did. When you chose their comfort over my dignity. I didn't wait for him to respond. I walked out of the room. He didn't follow me. I'd already packed a bag. I'm staying with a friend from work for now. I've got copies of everything, texts from Jean, screenshots, even a voicemail from Megan trashing me by name. I gave them 6 years of patience. Now I'm giving them reality. I haven't heard from Jean or Megan. Not one word. Brad's tried calling. I'm not answering. I told him we can speak through lawyers now. I meant it. Brad didn't take it well. After the first few days of silence, the messages started coming in hot. First it was texts. Please, can we talk? This is insane. Then it turned to calls, over and over. When I stopped picking up, he started emailing me like we were coworkers. Cold, short, like he was trying to regain control. I didn't answer anything. I forwarded everything to my lawyer. One night, about a week later, he showed up at my friend Tasha's house. I don't know how he found out where I was staying. I didn't tell him. I didn't tell anyone on his side. But he was there, banging on the door like it was a damn emergency. Tasha opened the door just a crack and told him to leave. I just want to talk to her, he shouted. You don't get to hide her from me. Tasha stood her ground. She doesn't want to talk to you. You need to leave before I call the cops. I was in the kitchen, shaking. I didn't even go to the door. I just stared at the floor, waiting to hear his truck pull away. When he finally did leave, I got a message 5 minutes later. All it said was, "You're blowing up everything over nothing. Hope it's worth it." That was the night I realized he wasn't sorry. Not really. He was angry I'd stood up for myself. The next morning, I got a call from HR at the hospital. Apparently, someone had submitted a complaint about me. Said I'd been sharing confidential patient info with people outside the office. The hospital had to take it seriously. I was put on temporary leave while they looked into it. But I hadn't done anything. I never shared a thing. And I knew immediately it was them. Jean used to volunteer at the hospital years ago. She still had friends on the board. She didn't come at me directly. She never would. But I could feel her fingerprints on it. Quiet sabotage. I told my lawyer. She documented everything. We added it to the list. Later that week, Tasha and I went out to grab food. We walked into a little diner, and guess who was there? Megan, sitting at a booth with 2 other women. She saw me and made a big show of whispering something and laughing, loud enough for me to hear. Some people don't know how to keep a man. That's why they end up living in someone else's spare room. I turned to her and said, "At least I don't have to use my brother's spine to stand up straight." That shut her up. The next morning, I got another text from Brad. "You're making this worse than it needs to be. Mom says if you just apologize for overreacting, maybe we can all sit down and talk." I stared at my phone for a long time. He really thought I was going to crawl back. Apologize to the people who iced me out of his life. The people who called me dramatic, cold, not close family. After everything they did behind my back, they still believed I'd come begging.
No.
That part of me, the one who stayed quiet, stayed small, stayed polite, is gone. And now I'm ready to go deeper. 2 weeks after I handed Brad the envelope, I found out just how far they were willing to go. Tasha's cousin, Erin, works part-time at a local bank. One afternoon, she texted Tasha saying, "Hey, I saw something weird with your friend's name come up. Tell her to check her accounts." I logged into my bank app. My stomach dropped. There were 3 withdrawals I didn't recognize. Small enough to slip under the radar. $90 here, $120 there. But they weren't mine. They were transfers to an account with a familiar name. Jean's maiden name, Brad, and I had a joint account we barely used. It was supposed to be for shared bills, and honestly, I'd forgotten about it. We always used our separate checking accounts for day-to-day stuff. But apparently, Brad hadn't forgotten. He was using it to slowly move money to an account connected to his mother. I took screenshots and sent them straight to my lawyer. She responded within the hour. We can use this. Don't touch anything else. Let me handle it. I sat at the kitchen table in Tasha's house, shaking. Not from fear, but from fury. He was trying to bleed me dry before the split was official. And he was using his mom to do it. Like a coward. Later that night, I called one of Brad's old coworkers, Mark. We were never close, but he always seemed to have his ear to the ground. I told him what happened and asked, straight up, if Brad had said anything about me or the separation. Mark hesitated. Then he said, Look, I probably shouldn't say this, but there's rumors going around that you cheated on him. Brad's been telling people that's why you left. I laughed. It wasn't even funny. It was pathetic. Cheated with who? I asked. Mark said, Some guy from your work. Said it's why you're staying with your friend. Said it was all your fault. I hung up and sat in silence. He was setting the stage. Taking control of the narrative. Making me out to be the villain, so he wouldn't have to explain why his wife walked away from his whole toxic family. But the truth was on my side. And I wasn't just going to walk away quietly. I had emails, texts, screenshots, recordings. My lawyer told me if they wanted to fight dirty, we'd get surgical. The next day, she filed a motion to freeze all shared accounts. She also filed a request for a forensic audit of all shared finances from the last 6 months, and a restraining order against Jean for indirect harassment and targeted defamation. I knew it would get ugly, but I was past the point of caring. Brad wanted to burn the house down? Fine. But I was taking the matches out of his hands. The court date came faster than I expected. My lawyer was a bulldog in heels. She had everything lined up. The shady bank transfers, the harassment, the fake accusations Brad spread. She even subpoenaed screenshots from Megan's group chats that one of her friends had leaked to us anonymously. Turns out, they'd been planning to push me out for months. After Megan got divorced, Jean swore no woman would ever divide the family again. I was the threat, the outsider. And Brad? He just went along with it. They called me things, names I won't repeat. Said I was using Brad and emasculating him. But what made my blood boil most? They said I didn't matter. The hearing was tense. Brad showed up with some cheap lawyer, probably one his mom found. He looked tired, older, and nervous. He tried to smile at me when I walked in. I didn't smile back. We both testified. I stayed calm, gave short, honest answers. My lawyer did the heavy lifting. Brad's side had nothing. Just noise. Just finger-pointing. The judge wasn't impressed. He granted me a full split of the assets, including the house, which Brad had stupidly put in both our names even though he'd paid most of the down payment. He gave me sole control of our joint account and ordered Brad to pay legal fees for using the account to move funds without consent. But the real blow came when Jean was served with the restraining order. In court, right after the ruling, she tried to argue. Said I was ruining the family name. Said I was vengeful and spiteful. The judge didn't care. Her harassment was documented. Brad just sat there, head down. After court, I walked out into the parking lot. It was over, but I didn't feel happy. I felt tired, empty, like I just walked out of a burning house carrying my own bones. That night, I sat alone in the house they never wanted me to live in. The house I now owned. I thought about everything, and I realized something. I wasn't innocent either. I stayed too long. I let them walk over me for years. I let Brad make excuses. I thought love meant patience, but patience without respect is just self-destruction. I should have drawn the line earlier. Maybe I wouldn't be sitting alone at 38, rebuilding from ashes. But I wasn't broken. The next morning, I blocked all their numbers. Every single one. I changed my locks. I changed my name back. And I started applying for jobs in Nashville. Bigger city. Fresh start. A few days later, I got a text from an unknown number. It said, "I'm sorry. I didn't know how bad it was. I should have stood up for you." It was Brad. I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. Because sorry doesn't mean a damn thing when it comes too late. They didn't want me to be part of their family? Now, they don't get to be part of mine. Not ever again.